food security situation in Africa and indeed Nigeria. And that alarm, made people to begin to wag tongues. People are feeling that what will really become of the Nigerian situation in the next few years in terms of food security. And it's also of concern to us here at OGTV on Newdawn. And this morning we decided to go deep to bring in two guests to discuss how Nigeria can actually build sustainable food security system. We have in the studio with us this morning, we have from the academia and then from practical agriculture guests to talk on this topic. We have with us a professor of agriculture, Professor Kolawole Adebayo, joining us this morning. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We also have with us a practicing agriculturist, Mr. Ayoko Shumefo. Good morning, Mr. Shumefo.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's start from Prof. I don't know if you also heard that from the minister when she spoke about the danger that is looming, or the danger is with us already. Is it looming or danger with us?
I think the danger is with us already, particularly for those of us within the agricultural sector. In the last 5 to 10 years, it has been showing its head, and this was aggravated last year with the COVID-19 emergencies. But it is of particular importance in the West African sub-region because of the security situation. So we have three big problems playing together at the same time. And I think this is the crux of the matter. The issue of climate change has been with us for a long time. Now we have COVID-19, which means that a lot of people who are supposed to be on the farm last year didn't farm. Some of the people who farmed lost their farms. Then we have the security challenges across the West African region, which then aggravated the problem further because, one, people who went to farm don't feel safe, so they ran away from farms. That's a problem. People who wanted to farm are afraid and therefore won't go to farm. Then a number of people who have been farming for years are abandoning their farms. All of this put together really creates a big reason for leaders and conscientious agriculturists to worry about the food situation. So I think it's already with us.
But yeah, Dominic.
How bad really is the situation? I mean, because if you say food crisis, some people still feel, well, they see food to eat, 3 square meals, and even more if they can afford to take more. How bad really is the situation?
I think it's really very bad. For those who are consumers of Gari, they know that between last year and this year, we have had more than double the price of Gari. Per Congo, per kg, whatever measure you use. That is a signal. Gari, when I was a young agriculturist still learning the ropes, it used to be something you say, I just share Gari, do you have some Gari? You just give it free of charge because it's the cheapest food available. It's no longer the cheapest food available. Rice is neither cheap, palm oil is neither cheap, tomato, all the food, when food prices start going up, economics worry, which is why the Honorable Minister of Finance is really quite worried, because when food problem is gone out of a problem, then we say the problem has finished. Now this problem is starting.
But the prices are up, but the commodities are available. Should economists still be worried?
Yes, economists should still be worried for so many reasons. Just like Prof has said, that the crisis is already with us. And in agriculture, we have an inelastic demand, which means that the prices has a seasonal fluctuation. Presently, a lot of, when you go around the farm, you will even see that the trees that were supposed to be fruiting at maximum are producing 20–30%. And when you go to the port, you will discover that even those who are exporting their crops are having lesser tonnage to export. Don't forget, we have Nigerians abroad running into almost over 50 million looking for Nigerian food that they could not get again. If you go to the US now, you see the price of 1 kg of yam going for as far as $10, which you can't buy here for something. It is telling you that the crisis is already with here. And you will discover that in the olden days, you see bands, you see cribs, you see silo, they have disappeared over the last 10 years. They disappeared because every production today is consumed. Yesterday was Easter, you go around Abekuta, you hardly see people patronizing chicken. Chicken is no longer everywhere because you need 5,000 to 7,000 to buy what you buy for 1,000, 1,500, because the food production has declined drastically compared to the consumption. So by the time those crops or those produce are off season, you see an unnecessary, arbitrary increase in the prices, which are one of the factors that brought about what we call food security. Food security is not only being available, but accessible and even on safety measure. The fact that somebody want to kill Easter chicken could not afford this shows that there is food security problem. And coupled with what person highlighted, which is the general security situation, not only in Nigeria, it goes around the West Africa and even to the sub-Saharan. Don't forget when Gaddafi decided to dredge River Nile, there was decline in the volume and distance of water occupied at Lake Chad. Lake Chad region is bigger than Nigeria. The Chad basin is already threatened, so that's why you are seeing those Fulani migrating towards here, because we have more water here, and we are not being threatened by River Nile. But so they have now become an encroachment and a threat, and whereby we are even in a serious situation. Last year, I shared a report with Prof. Russia has depleted their food reserve of 7 years by 6 years just because of COVID. Russia now needs land to plant up what they need to store for 7 years. We don't have anything stored in Nigeria, so which is to say that there's a crisis. What the food we have today is what we have today. We don't have what to eat tomorrow as a nation. So we are already in a serious situation.
Okay, now Prof, how did we get to this level? Because that's one question that we've repeated over and over again, even beyond agriculture, in terms of security, in almost every sector of the Nigerian life, we ask the question, how did we get to this level?
I think we've taken too much for granted for too long. As a nation, when we were rich, when we were selling oil, when oil prices were good, we didn't plow back, we didn't plan for the future, we didn't put anything aside. And that is what has got us to where we are today. We practically abandoned agriculture. We practically abandoned security. We abandoned our health system. We abandoned education. And that failure of conscientious leadership is what has led us to where we are today. You know, once people think, oh, I can send my kid overseas, why should I worry about the education system? I could watch Manchester United. Why should I worry about ICC or Shooting Stars Football Club? I could import any food that I need. Why should I worry about a poor farmer somewhere in the bush? So all of this cumulated into what we have today. I know that way back in the early 80s, one former minister of agriculture in Saudi Arabia was asked, why are you still spending so much money on irrigation for maize farms and so on, when in fact it is cheaper for Saudi Arabia to actually import than to produce? The man said, you don't put your food basket in your friend's house. Your food basket should be in your own house. It's not even talking about enemy. You don't put your food basket in your friend's house. Your friend is your friend today. It could be something else tomorrow. Therefore, even though it was more expensive for Saudi Arabia then, they were still developing their irrigation facilities. That is what we should have done. When we had the money, we should have improved our agriculture. We should have modernized it such that it would be more attractive to young people. What we are trying to do now, when it is 20 years too late. So there are quite a lot of things we should have done that we didn't do. And that's what is getting us to where we are today.
Now, maybe as we progress in the conversation, we'll also look at whether what we are even doing now, whether it's even the right way to go about it. But let us look at the borders that were shut recently, and then the government saying the borders should open. Even though the borders were shut basically for security reasons, quite a number of persons were still hopeful that this border closure would also boost our economy in a way. It would make farmers or make us to look inwards and then grow what we will eat. Do you think it any way rubbed off on, impacted on us economically in terms of homegrown things, produce for us as a nation?
When you say the government closed the border, shut the border, to me it's a technical terms. The border was never shut. Reason include the fact that in Ogun State, the porosity, there are over 3,000 routes you can get.
Illegal routes?
Yes, that you can get to the Republic of Benin. While the border was shut at those peak times, I was crossing the sub-Saharan Africa and coming back conveniently, easily.
Through those illegal routes?
No, even the legal routes, the manpower available to man those borders are not available. You can imagine that in Ilarak alone, we only have like 3-4 border. There are some people whose houses are part of Nigeria, their kitchen is Republic of Benin. How do you stop that? That's number one. Number two, when you shut the border, you need to do something which is very different. There is no way you can succeed as a farmer or as a nation when your input needed at the right time are not readily available. I've been emphasizing something, I'll say it here now. When you want to do empowerment, you want to do this, provide seeds, provide breeds of animal for people, provide day-old sheep, provide winter pig, provide calf, that is cow, provide for people. Nobody will be able to eat it. They will be forced to rear it. That's number one. Number two, improves on the genetic performance. Those works that have been done in the university, in research that have been done there, government need to go back to the university. I'll give you an instance. I won't mention. At a time, FUNAB has a new variety of rice, which they call FUNAB 1. What FUNAB needed then was just like 3 million naira to multiply this seed and give it back to the government and for the government to distribute. You see that we don't have a uniform variety of a particular crop. Even if we all produce what we needed to eat, we can't join them together because there are disparity, they are not uniform. In the olden days, everybody will have the same thing. When we are doing cocoa, you see cocoa almost the same variety of amazon, you see cola, almost cola, nitida, everywhere. But the difference, the thing is no longer there. So even if you shut the border, did you provide the basic thing? If you need 30 tons of fertilizer today, with your money, you will still struggle to get it. And this is the time you should have stored your fertilizer. So it's a one-way traffic that does not bring the desired results. It only encourages the right thinking people to start going into production. Despite that, you are still having the imported chicken, imported turkey still flooding our market. You still see our custom running after people within the town. So meaning that it's just a one-way traffic that doesn't give the desired result for us. So we still have a long way to go.
Okay. You see, it's good that you mentioned border closure. Border closure is only effective when it's part of a bigger program. Border closure as a single action does not produce any result anywhere in the world. Japan had tried it, China has tried it, but when they did, immediately the borders were shut. A lot of activities were going on in-house to ensure that by the time you open the border again, we will be so competitive that it will be economically unwise to bring those things you used to bring in. It's a bit like, as an homeowner, if you say, okay, from now, we will not be buying vegetable in this house. Yeah, you will not be buying vegetable, but are you growing any vegetable in your house that will replace the vegetable that you were buying from somewhere else before? So the period when we closed our borders, what did we do in-house? Did we improve irrigation facilities? Did we make seeds available for people who wanted to farm? Is land access a lot better? Is security improved such that if I go to farm, I won't be afraid that somebody will kidnap me? So all of these measures need to come together as part of a package of programs, which would then make somebody who doesn't have something to sell and goes to an open market will come back empty-handed. So if they say we have an open market, it's only those who have things to sell in those markets that will bring something back.
What has been the missing link? Let me come to Prof first and foremost for us. I remember very well, I think it was under Shagari that we had the Green Revolution. Obasanjo. We've had universities of agriculture. FUNAB is one. I think there's another one in
Benue, Makurdi. There's one in Umudike.
So now, with all of those efforts, yet there is no connect between government and the ivory towers and all of that. What is missing? I'm putting this to you because you are in the academia. Is it that you're not making enough efforts to actually reach out to government, or government is simply not listening to you?
It's a bit of both. But I must say that leadership is key in everything we do. Leadership is responsible for pulling together all the multi-sectoral thing into a uniform focus to achieve a particular set of goals. You are right. When we had all those programs and policies, we did the mistakes of associating them with a particular regime. So Obasanjo's OFN, immediately Obasanjo left, Green Revolution with Shagari started, immediately Shagari left. You know, we tend to see those programs as programs of the people in power, rather than the program for the nation. That's a major disconnect. Any agricultural program, one, is a long-term program, and it's a program that cuts across whoever is in power. Agriculture is not something you say, oh, we'll do it 2 years and then do something else 3 years later. Because in those 2 years, you make investments whose the return on those investments does not come until 5, sometimes up to 10 years after those investments were made. That's the first one. 2, research is an important element of planning. If you don't do your research and you don't have the data, then planning becomes a problem. As a nation, how much do we invest in research? Look at this COVID-19 thing. COVID was around. Every nation in the world was looking for a vaccine. They were empowering their virology labs. They were going into how to solve the problem. What were we doing locally? Nothing. We didn't. In fact, academic staff were on strike. We didn't negotiate with them. The research institutes were not funded to be part of this search for a vaccine. So by the time everybody was saying, okay, we now have vaccines, what were we trying to do? We were trying to buy. Because we didn't have any facility locally, either to contribute to the research or to even produce.
Prof, let me just cut in a bit. We're sorry for that. We're just going to take this commercial break. We'll be right shortly to continue the program Newdawn on the People's Daily.